We don't realize how important our privacy is to us until we've been breached or compromised.
This is a rapidly growing threat. The scope of cybercrime is rising exponentially. 78% increase between 2020 and 2022.
Like, this person left me with an empty bank account and maxed out my credit card and line of credit. How did I let that happen?
Where does Poly get its data from?
So Poly gets her data from social media, but unlike, say, what we typically think of social media as getting keyword searches, etc. What Poly does first, she picks the people that she wants to listen to, and she's picking those people very carefully to make sure that they are representative of the population, so that you're not being overrepresented by trolls, for example, or the popular people. So Poly picks people, and then she listens to each person. She tries to ascertain each person's opinion, and they get, say, one vote.
So Poly does it in a way that's not biased, because I think with AI, I guess there's an assumption that it's neutral, but not all AI is neutral.
That's right. So, well, AIs are, they run on algorithms, but the algorithms are dependent on their data for training. So for us, it was really, really important to strip the bias out of the results.
Are Ontarians worried about digital privacy?
Well, here's what's interesting. Ontarians have very varied opinions about digital privacy. Sometimes I think we get muddled between digital privacy and digital security.
What's the difference?
Data privacy is when you collect my data for the purposes of delivering me a service. Some companies need to know where you live and all of that in order to deliver a service to you or to recommend products to you. We analyzed who's talking about this online, and we found it's basically journalists, professors, people who work in tech, who have apps that can protect your privacy. So basically people with vested interests. When we stripped that out and we just looked at the Gen Pop, no, not a lot of people are talking about this. The second is digital security, and that's where you get your identity stolen, and people are very purposely getting information on you for very nefarious purposes. And when we look at conversations about data security and data theft, that's about twice as much as concerns about privacy being targeted with ads, that kind of thing. Because people feel, I can protect myself against that. Now, rightly, or whether they can or not is a different issue, but the sense is, I like getting that information.
That's interesting. So if I'm benefiting from it, I don't care, but if it's impacting me in a negative way, then no.
That's exactly it.
We don't realize how important our privacy is to us until we've been breached or compromised. The easiest way to think about this is if I was to tell you to take out your phone and unlock it and then give it to me and allow me to go through your images, allow me to go through your messages, allow me to go through your apps. Privacy matters. And if you're not okay with unlocking your phone and handing it over to me, then it's important that we think about, okay, instead of you giving it to me, imagine that going to fraudsters. Imagine that going to hackers, people that want to use it for nefarious purposes. All the more reason we got to do everything possible to minimize the possibility of data breaches, because putting the toothpaste back in the tube is just not possible.
It's easy to feel adrift in the free flow of information, to not know where the data we hand over is going. Easy to feel it's not your problem, or perhaps worse, feel unable to protect yourself. It's a feeling Greta Whipple knows all too well. She was a victim of a hack at Indigo, in which sensitive employee records were leaked.
Does Indigo know who hacked the data?
It's an organization called Lockbit. They also admitted that is often used by the Russian mob. No guarantee that that's who, utilized Lockbit in this instance. And it's not a situation where, anytime you buy something online, you are kind of taking a known risk of, hey, I'm entering this credit card information, it might be compromised. But with your employer, just think that there might be more of a duty of care to that information and that they're gonna safeguard it.
So you leave Indigo,
Yes.
and then you find out, by the way, your
All the
information is compromised.
Yeah.
How did you get that message?
It was a friend who was still working there, and she said, hey, it was a text, it was totally surreal, just did you get that email saying that we'd had a cybersecurity breach? And in all honesty, I thought it was kind of like a joke. And as you're reading it, you're like, okay, maybe it's not going to be that bad. You keep scrolling, and it's SIN, date of birth, address, direct deposit information. I think postal code was in there too. And then just all of that, and then we're deeply sorry. And that's it. So then you're thinking, who do I have to contact? Like, do I have to change my SIN? Is that even possible? I have to call my bank. Like, do I need credit cards? Like, do things need to be canceled? None of this was in the email either. There was no like mitigation on, hey, these are things that you should be doing to protect yourself or move forward in like a safer way. And there's no time for this. Like, I work several jobs. I just didn't really have the time to pick up the pieces of this mess that I hadn't even made. I think we were offered 2 years of a credit monitoring service, but this like mistake on their end will follow me and the people who work there for the rest of their lives potentially. It's like the information that you're passing along is what you have to give them to be employed there. So you'd expect it to have been like safeguarded to a higher degree than it probably was. And you were not the reason that it got leaked, but the onus is on you to monitor this. 2 years is basically nothing.
How can you fight back in this situation?
You're a worker at a minimum wage job. What resources do you personally really have to kind of push back against this? I think we need to be thinking about how this information is being stored. And I don't know if there's any sort of legal boundary for how long it has to stay on file, but there has to be a conversation about that. There was an intruder in their system for about a month before they even realized. Probably like it just is a situation where they didn't think it would ever happen to them, right? And there are probably tons of companies that are out there as well who don't think it'll ever happen to them. And it's one where maybe they're skimping out on cybersecurity. So I think that the protections, or maybe the degree of protection that has to surround SINs, direct deposit bank information, it has to be higher. Probably like harsher penalties for that information being leaked, and maybe just there needs to be more conversations about cybersecurity in general. I think, and I've already done this with other jobs that I've had in the wake of the cybersecurity incident, I've been asking, how are you going to keep this information?
Well, why do you need this information?
Exactly, and like especially for the SIN, just how are you planning on storing this?
Yeah, we make the assumption that our data will be okay, but I don't think a lot of us understand how valuable our data is. How important is it for us to recognize that and to protect our data?
I'd probably just urge people, just think about it, like, is it really essential that you pass this along? If it's not, then maybe don't.
You should ask your employer on what they retain, how long they retain it for, and then ensure that if they say we keep a particular type of employee data, after how many years post you leaving the job or post termination, do they get rid of that data? Or do they keep copies? And by get rid of that data, I mean digital copies and physical copies. So you got to have that conversation. As an employer, it's good practice to have that discussion and make those policies available. I think we need to realize that, look, once the information's out there, it's out there.
Once it's out there, it's out there. If a company can't protect your data, it's one thing. But what about data that we give out publicly? Modern life seems to encourage us to hand over pieces of data of our life at almost every turn. What happens when that information is used against us?
Let's just think about the type of information that's actually in a photograph. When you post these photos on social media, a lot of this, what's called EXIF data, which is the metadata behind a photograph, is stripped. But if you're sharing it on other every platform may not be stripping the EXIF data. So what is EXIF data? The type of device that you have. Do you have an iPhone or an Android? Did the flash go off? The date and time of when that photo was taken. But also location, if your location is enabled. And what type of location? Latitude and longitude, and in some cases even altitude. So if you're taking it from your condo or from your apartment, if you do the math, you can figure out, okay, this person's on the 10th floor. It gets very precise. It gets kind of scary. What type of information is now actually in that photograph? So think about, is the house door number on there? I've seen pay stubs in some of these photographs that you can actually zoom in and kind of make out a little bit of information. I've heard heartbreaking stories of people losing their life savings. Grandparents being scammed out of tens of thousands of dollars. My grandson's in trouble. Okay, well, hit pause. Get information. All right. First of all, the number that, make sure that it's a legitimate number.
It's like checking your blind spots.
Check those blind spots. And the technology now is making it even more difficult to decipher fact from fiction.
At the end of the day, I mean, the internet can be a beautiful place and a scary place. I just think we all just need to be mindful and know that there are people out there that can take advantage or take something that's meant for good and use it for something that isn't.
Makini Smith is an author and podcaster who was scammed by someone she met on social media.
Like, this person left me with an empty bank account and maxed out my credit card and line of credit. How did I let that happen? Like, he knew a lot about me. I used to share a lot about myself on Facebook because I thought that was my community. And so he knew everything about my personality type, my wants, my dreams, my past experience with relationships, everything.
In hindsight of what's happened, do you think that what you shared on Facebook, where you did feel like you were part of a community, kind of told him who you were, and then he was able to kind of like fit in those spaces, like give you what you were looking for?
Absolutely. I feel like, I mean, there's definitely a beauty in sharing on social media, especially when you're creating your community, your tribe, you're connecting with people. But I feel like he knew me, and I guess his perception of me, he was able to come in and be who he thought I wanted versus who he actually was.
So you didn't see it coming in a
Did
way?
not see it coming. We ended up going on a date, and he showed up at the first date, kind of a little, I guess, casual yet flashy. He had a $100,000 car, and talked about his penthouse condo in Mississauga and the work that he did, where he was making passive income of almost $10,000 a month, and so he was building the perception. And we started dating, and then immediately the emergencies started, where I have this fancy car, but my license was suspended for speeding ticket or what have you, and my money is tied up with this and that, and can I borrow? And I was like, okay, well, something in my intuition I probably should have listened to. I was like, okay, well, I can lend him this, I'll be okay. And the emergencies never stopped. His business was going downhill in ways. I'm like, okay, it's okay. Like, we're gonna be together for a long time. I can take care of this now. Once you get back on your feet, we'll be fine. And I had to have a major organ removed due to some health challenges. The deal was that he was going to get a job, because I'm self-employed, that he would get a job so that he could take care of things, since I had been taking care of things for the first year. There was always an excuse. There was always something. And it was the day I came home from the surgery. I was in my bed, and he came upstairs with a notebook of all the things of how I could work from the bed.
How did you take that?
Not well.
Did alarm bells go off? Or?
Yes. His refusal to work and making excuses of, why he couldn't work, which were not legitimate. Basically taking away all of the income that I had saved and earned, taking away my ability to even continue to function.
And jeopardizing your children's livelihood.
Absolutely. After he had found out the same week that I had said to him, I'm out of money, credit cards are maxed up. Like, when are you gonna step up and get a job? 4 days later, he created a blow up fake argument and moved out, had his mom come and pick up him and all his stuff when I wasn't home, and ghosted me.
Do you think if you hadn't run out of money, he wouldn't have left?
I don't think so. Like, every story that I've heard about all the women previously, it was the same thing. As soon as he used up all he could, he moved on to the next target. But while he's with this person, he is interacting with other women on social, getting to know them, kind of breadcrumbing them, so that once this one is empty, he can make his move on the next one.
You said that he targeted you because you were independent. Why do you think that is?
There are so many women who are self-sufficient. They're doing well in all other areas of their life except for a relationship. So it's almost like you feel like you've checked all the boxes, but there's one thing missing. So you almost feel a little vulnerable where that's concerned. And I think knowing now, like having all of his exes reach out to me and share very similar stories of how he's used them for money and manipulated them in their situations, they were all independent women making their own money, doing their own thing. And I guess part of the struggle for me is, you know, at the time, my brand was about sharing your story. My brand was about owning your truth. And I had to be a product of the product. But there are parts of that that were used against me to take advantage.
With everything that's happened, do you find that you've changed what you share on social media?
Absolutely.
How has it changed for you?
I will still share on a surface level or like a blanket experience of certain things, but in terms of full details like I used to, I don't overshare like I used to. I'm a lot more protective now of the things that I hold sacred. It's almost like I've had to learn to tell myself that it's not my fault. Like I had to forgive myself because I feel like, how did you let this happen? How did you let this person take advantage of you? How did you let this person manipulate you? So at first it was a lot of self-blame. It was, I can't tell anybody, this is embarrassing. So there was a lot of shame attached to that. I think there's just so many people that have experienced it but feel shame and they don't say anything to anybody. And then that person or that personality type gets to go around and continue taking advantage and manipulating vulnerable people.
The judgment hurts, right? And it's interesting because we always think that could never be me until it's you.
Absolutely.
So it is important to report it to your local police service. You know, you might have a little nugget of information that they need to tie all these different occurrences together. It might be an email address they sent you. It might be a phone number. The more data we have, the more reports that we have, the more we'll be able to address the situation. Otherwise, we're just guessing.
There never seems to be enough unique passwords, laws, or police to keep us safe online, but there has been some recent success through collaboration, and it started in Ottawa. Jan visited the RCMP's National Cybercrime Coordination Center, otherwise known as NC3.
Can you give us an idea about sort of the issues around cybercrime in Canada when we're looking at stats?
You know, unfortunately, we've seen a trend over the last few years where the number of cybercrime incidents has risen. There's increasingly more challenges from cybercriminals and other threat actors trying to go after people online, whether that's financially or in other ways. Specifically, last year we had over $530 million in financial losses that were reported. Maybe 5 to 10% actually gets reported to us.
Do you have an idea why people underreport?
There's a bunch of reasons. We've actually done some research into this. At the sort of individual level, a lot of people are embarrassed. They feel like they got scammed and that they got taken advantage of, and they don't want to share that, even sometimes with their own family.
People shouldn't be embarrassed to come forward. Anybody can make that mistake, and it's happened to even high-level people with a fairly sophisticated understanding of cybersecurity. They've been victims of this too. And that's why we want to get the message out to people that they need to report it to us.
How confident can Ontarians be that, you know, if their privacy is compromised, that something could be done?
A lot can be done, and a lot of businesses don't come forward as they simply believe that, oh well, it's lost, there's nothing that can be done.
Businesses are, from a reputational perspective, don't want to acknowledge that they were maybe victimized by a cyber attack. If we are going to try and address this properly, we need to work together, have good reporting, have law enforcement work together, work with other partners to find the people who were behind this and then figure out ways to pursue them.
How do you stay ahead of all of this? Because it seems like every day there is someone or a team of people who are coming up with new ways to hack into systems, and they are being innovative on their end.
The most important aspect is coming together, law enforcement domestically and internationally, and then even coming together with private sector and non-governmental sectors of taking this team approach to combating cybercrime.
I started to become involved in cyber investigations in 2016. At that time, we were very much working in silos. From the OPP's perspective, our capability to respond to this was nascent. We were learning as we went along. What stitched it all together for us was in 2020 when the NC3 started up. They're essential for deconfliction, not just within domestic investigations in Canada, but with our international partner or on our international investigations, where you're dealing with a crime where you've got a server that's located in the Netherlands, you've got a threat actor who you believe is in Ukraine or Russia. You've got victims that are scattered across the United States, Canada, multiple provinces within Canada, Europe, Japan. So at the start of the investigation, you've got to figure out who's even going to be the lead agency on this. I mean, you've got so many working parts. There's also a number of different international processes that can slow us down. Criminals move at the speed of electrons on this kind of crime. We move at the speed of international and judicial process. MLAT process takes months to get information on. NC3 was set up and effectively does this. They help us smooth over all those barriers.
We had a recent success story the last couple weeks, Project Cookie Monster, where you saw 28 police services in Canada, 17 countries internationally, all coming together in this day of action to take down this Genesis marketplace site. What this site offered was basically access to people's online accounts. They would not only have stolen credentials that you use to log onto your various online accounts, but also a way that they could, if you changed your password or had multi-factor authentication, the users who purchased this access could stay logged into your online account. So we think that there were, in some cases, up to 1.5 million of what we call these bots that were offered for sale of this access globally. And so this was a pretty prolific site that offered this service, and took the site offline, informed criminals through what we call a splash page, that these countries came together and took the site offline.
Getting into the brain of a hacker or a bandit, as you say it, is just thinking like an everyday person.
That's exactly what these bandits do. They call it social engineering. They sit around spending a lot of time trying to figure out, how can we get somebody to click on this malicious software? How do we get somebody to respond the way we want them to so that we can exploit them? As technology increases, the scope of the threat increases. We are seeing routinely ransomware extortions and things like that are targeting not just the major ones that you hear about, even small mom and pop operations, dentist offices, smaller business, construction firms are a big one. What they're doing is, once they're into your system, they'll spend quite a bit of time in there. You don't even know they're in there. They will take over the victim's camera. They will monitor their Zoom calls. They will monitor personal calls, and then they start making extortion demands. And just to rattle that person, they'll send them back pictures of them while they're online. They'll send them, you can imagine the psychological effect, the rate of victimization that happens to somebody who goes through it. It's an ugly, ugly, personally violating crime.
We're facing human adversaries. That's another aspect of this. We're not facing machines on the other end. These are humans who are trying to get into our systems, scam people. And so we need people who will think innovatively, be adaptive, because these are very innovative people we're up against. Hire and train really smart and dedicated people who believe in what they're doing of trying to keep Canadians safe, and try and keep pace with the cyber criminals.
Is there something that you see in the horizon that you're like, we need to be prepared for this when it comes to digital privacy?
Any technology we put out there as a society, criminals often find a way to use it as well. And there is some reporting that criminals are figuring out how to use like the ChatGPT or other generative AI to help their cybercrime or fraud techniques. I think what it means though is both like within government and law enforcement organizations, we need to be constantly looking for what that technology is, what's coming down the pipe, figure out how we might be able to leverage it, figure out how cyber criminals might use it.
We've been accelerating technology adoption at a rapid rate without thinking about the legal ramifications, the privacy ramifications, the security ramifications, and most importantly, the ethical considerations. It's just been, let's just build this out and then we'll figure it out. No, we really have to think about this stuff by design from the onset. The responsibility doesn't go on just one group or individual. The way I break it down is there's a role for government and our regulators, and that includes law enforcement as well, where we need better laws. The second component to this triangle is vendors. If you're going to be making products, if you're going to be making systems and software and collecting data, you have a responsibility to ensure that security and privacy are built in by design. Not an afterthought. Why do I need this piece of data? What are we doing to protect user information? Are we using the latest encryption? And the third component of it is individuals, is when I like to put that under communities, is making sure that you follow the basic cyber hygiene rules.
Government, individuals, and companies need to keep our safety at the forefront. In this digital world, as with anything, is it any surprise the answer might be that we have to work together?